I died screaming her name, Lila. My best friend since kindergarten. The one who'd sworn we'd conquer New York together. She didn't just push me. She whispered sorry as my body twisted midair, plummeting 40 stories to the pavement below. Her face a mask of calculated regret. But death wasn't the end. It was the goddamn reset button I never asked for, slamming me back into my body 3 months earlier. Heart pounding in a cramped Brooklyn apartment, the taste of stale coffee on my lips, and Grandma's obituary fresh in my inbox. That morning, I bolted upright in bed, sheets tangled around my legs like restraints from a life I hadn't escaped yet. My hands were steady, not broken from the fall, and the scar on my palm from that childhood pact with Lila was still there, mocking me. Emery, I gasped to the empty room, voice hoarse, as if I'd just clawed my way out of a grave. The clock read 7:42 a.m. September 15th, the day after Grandma's funeral. The day everything started unraveling in my first life. But this time, I knew. I remembered the boardroom betrayal, the forged documents, the way Lila and my cousin Marcus had siphoned off Grandma's empire from under me, leaving me penniless and plummeting. This time, I wouldn't beg for mercy. I'd burn their world down first. The lawyer's office in Midtown smelled like polished oak and old money, the kind Grandma had clawed her way into during the 80s real estate boom. Mr. Hargrove, with his wire-rimmed glasses and perpetual squint, slid the envelope across the desk like it was a live grenade. Emery Caldwell, he said, voice clipped, your grandmother's will is unconventional. She trusted you'd handle this. I tore it open, fingers trembling not from fear but fury. Inside, a single letter from Grandma, her looping script as familiar as her Sunday pot roast. My darling girl, it began. If you're reading this, I've gone on to hassle the angels. But our family's rotten at the core, and it's time you rooted it out. 5 letters wait in 5 places: New York, Chicago, Miami, and back here. Deliver them as instructed. Uncover the truths I've buried, and claim what's yours. Fail, and it all goes to the vultures. Love always. Ruth Caldwell. Vultures. She meant them, Marcus, my sleazy cousin who'd always eyed the family trust like a fox in the henhouse, Lila, who'd wormed her way into our lives with her Ivy League smile and knife-sharp ambition, and Uncle Theo, Dad's brother, the alcoholic shadow who'd drunk away his share and blamed everyone else. In my first life, I'd ignored the signs, too busy chasing my own PR firm dream to see the noose tightening. They'd framed me for embezzlement, painted me as the greedy niece. And when Grandma's death left me isolated, Lila lured me to that rooftop to talk. One shove, and poof, Emery Caldwell, age 28, obituary fodder. But now I had a map. The first letter's coordinates, a safety deposit box at Chase Manhattan. Key enclosed. I hailed a cab outside, the September humidity sticking my blouse to my skin like a second layer of regret. Step on it, I told the driver, eyes scanning the rear view for tails. Paranoia? Maybe. But in my last life, Marcus had hired a PI to dig dirt on me weeks before the fall. This time, I'd be the one digging graves, metaphorically, at least. The bank vault hummed with that sterile chill, and the box revealed not cash, but a yellowed envelope addressed to Marcus. Inside, a letter from Grandma, dated 2015. Dearest Marcus, I know about the affair with your father's wife. Blood
or not.
Betrayal cuts deepest. End it, or lose everything. My stomach twisted. Uncle Theo's second wife, Aunt Carla. Marcus had been sleeping with her. The family's secret I'd glimpsed in whispers, but never confronted. In my first go-round, this had come out post-mortem, used to discredit me as the unstable heir.
Now,
it was my first bullet. I sealed it back up, heart racing. The instructions were clear: deliver personally, no copies, and watch. But delivering meant facing him early,
before he could spin his web.
Marcus worked at Caldwell Properties now. The firm Grandma built from nothing, a string of luxury condos dotting the East Coast. I strode into the lobby like I owned it, which,
in a way,
I still might. Emery? Marcus looked up from his corner office, all polished teeth and surprise. 32. With Dad's jawline and a trust fund gut starting to show. What brings you slumming it down here? Funeral's still fresh. I forced a smile, the kind that didn't reach my eyes. Grandma left me a delivery. I slid the envelope across his desk, watching his face drain of color as he read. His knuckles whitened, eyes flicking to the door like a trapped rat. "What the hell is this?" he hissed, voice low. "She's bluffing." Aunt Ruth always meddled. "Read the date," I said coolly. She knew. Marcus. "And now you do too." I leaned in, voice a whisper. "End it, or I will." He laughed, but it was brittle. "You think you can threaten me? You're the screw-up niece."
Emery.
Chasing skirts in PR while I run the empire. Empire. The word stung, echoing the board meeting where they'd ousted me. But I held his gaze. "Try me." I walked out, pulse thundering. The first thread pulled. By evening, my phone buzzed. Carla. Hysterical. "Emery, what did you do?" "Marcus is packing, says we're done."
Good.
Let the vultures turn on each other. But as I collapsed onto my futon that night, staring at the ceiling cracks like fault lines in my soul, doubt crept in. Grandma's game was bigger than one affair. The next letter waited in Chicago, and with it, the real rot. 2 days later, I was on a red-eye to O'Hare, the envelope burning a hole in my carry-on. Grandma's instructions, delivered to Theo Caldwell at his favorite dive, the Rusty Anchor. Make him face the mirror. Uncle Theo, 65, pickled liver, and a grudge against the world since Dad died in that car wreck 10 years back. In my first life, he'd shown up at the funeral drunk, slurring about how Grandma stole the company from him. I'd pitied him.
Now,
I knew he'd forged Dad's signature on a loan that nearly bankrupted us, burying the evidence in a bottle. The Rusty Anchor reeked of stale beer and regret, neon flickering over scarred booths. Theo hunched at the bar, nursing a whiskey neat. His once sharp Caldwell features sagged into jowls. "Emery? Christ.
Kid.
You look like your old man." I slid onto the stool beside him, ordering a soda to keep my hands busy. "Grandma sent this." The envelope hit the wood with a soft thud. He tore it open, eyes narrowing. Grandma's words. "Theo, your brother's death wasn't an accident.
You know why.
Sober up.
Confess.
Or the truth follows you to hell." His glass shattered in his fist, shards embedding in his palm. Blood welled, but he didn't flinch, just stared at me,
wild-eyed.
"What did she tell you?" he growled. Enough. My voice steady, but inside, the pieces clicked. In my dying moments, I'd overheard Lila on the phone. Theo's crash?
Yeah.
He was wasted. But the brakes. Handled. Marcus is doing? Covering for family sins to control the board? You don't get it, Theo muttered, wiping blood on his jeans. Your dad found out about the loans. I panicked. Tampered with the car to scare him.
Not
kill. His confession spilled like vomit. Raw and ugly. Marcus cleaned it up. Said it'd stay buried if I signed over my shares. I gripped the bar. World tilting. Dad's death, my anchor gone, had been murder, not misfortune. And Marcus, the golden boy, puppeteering it all. Why tell me now? 'Cause Ruth knew. Always did. He laughed bitterly. That old bat played us all. I left him there. Envelope ashes in the sink of the bar's grimy bathroom. I'd burned it after he read. Per instructions. On the flight back. Turbulence mirroring my gut. I plotted. Theo's shares? Leverage. But Lila loomed next. Her letter in LA, where she'd fled after helping me launch my firm. Best friend? More like serpent in designer heels. Touchdown at LAX. Palm trees mocking the storm in my chest. Lila's office, a WeWork co-op in Silver Lake. All exposed brick and avocado toast vibes. She greeted me with a hug. Too tight. Perfume cloying. Emery, what a surprise. Coffee. Later. I pressed the envelope into her hand. Labeled in Grandma's hand. Lila. The daughter I never had. But blood betrays blood. And so do you. Her face crumpled as she scanned it. Accusations of siphoning funds from my startup. Using my ideas for her own pitch to Marcus. How? She whispered. You left a trail. I lied smoothly. Grandma saw it all. Truth was in my first life. Her confession came too late. Whispered over my hospital bed as I flatlined. She'd cried then. Genuine. Now, her eyes hardened. This is bullshit. You're jealous. Always have been. Jealous? Of her climbing my back? I stepped closer. Voice ice. Confess to the board. Lila. Or I drop the receipts, every email. Every wire transfer. She laughed. Shrill. You have nothing. And after Ruth's will reads, you'll be out.
Emery.
Broke. Forgotten. Forgotten. The word ignited something primal. I grab her wrist. Hard enough to bruise. Try me. I know what you did on that roof. Her eyes widened, fear. Real this time. What are you talking about? You'll see. I released her. Storming out into the LA haze. The city's sprawl a reminder of how far we'd fallen. 3 down. 2 to go. Miami next. Uncle Theo's old haunt. But the Real prize waited back in New York. As the plane lifted off, I texted Marcus. We need to talk. Family matters. His reply, tomorrow. My office. Come alone. The trap I'd walked into last time. This time, I'd spring it. Back in Brooklyn. The apartment felt smaller, walls closing in with ghosts of what-ifs. I pored over the remaining envelopes, clues piecing together Grandma's masterstroke. She'd known about the affair. The murder. The thefts, hell. She'd probably orchestrated the cover-ups to keep the family intact until she could test us. Me included. In my first life, I'd failed her. Too trusting. Too soft. Now, with death's clarity, I was steel. Morning brought rain. slicking the streets as I cabbed to Caldwell Properties. Marcus's secretary waved me in, oblivious. He lounged behind his desk, smug as ever.
Emery.
Enlighten me. What's this Family Matters crap? I didn't sit. Miami first. Then the truth. His brow furrowed. Miami? What's Ruth stirring now? The last loose end. The fourth letter. To Aunt Carla. Exposing not just the affair, but her role in laundering money through the condos to fund Marcus's habits. I'd flown down yesterday, cornered her in a South Beach spa, her Botox face cracking like cheap plaster. End it, I'd said, echoing Grandma's words. Or the feds get a copy. She'd crumbled, promising divorce papers by week's end. Leverage secured.
Now.
Facing Marcus, I laid it out, the letters, the confessions, the web he'd spun. His face shifted from confusion to rage. You think you're clever? Bitch. I built this. Ruth was senile. And you're delusional. Delusional? I pulled out my phone, hitting play on the recording from the rusty anchor. Theo's voice. Slurred but damning. Marcus cleaned it up. Signed over my shares. He lunged, but I sidestepped, heart hammering. Sit down.
Cousin.
Or I hit send to the board. The DA. Lila. Mention of her name cracked him. Lila? What did that snake say? Everything.
Lie.
But close enough. The fifth letter, still sealed in my purse, was the kill shot, Grandma's final missive, to the entire family, revealing she'd rewritten the will months ago. Not to Marcus, not to me, but to a trust, contingent on exposing the rot. I'd deliver it tonight, at the reading Hargrove had postponed. You can't, he snarled, voice venom. I own you.
Emery.
Always have.
No.
In that moment, rooftop wind howling in my memory, I saw it clear. He wasn't the kingpin. He was the pawn, terrified of losing the illusion. Watch me. I left him fuming, the elevator descent feeling like free fall in reverse. But as I stepped into the lobby, my phone buzzed. Lila. Emery.
Help.
He's coming for me.
Shit.
The pieces accelerated. Marcus. Cornered. Lashing out. I raced to her loft in Soho. Rain pounding like accusations. Door ajar. I burst into chaos. Overturned lamps. Lila cowering behind the couch. Marcus towering over her, fist raised. Emery, she cried, eyes pleading. He whirled. You did this. The room spun. History looping. Last life. He'd cornered her first, forced the confession, then called me to the roof. This time, I didn't hesitate. Back off. Marcus. I grabbed a vase, heavy crystal, and swung, connecting with his shoulder. He howled, stumbling. You crazy. Lila scrambled up, grabbing her phone. I'm calling 911. No. He lunged at her, but I tackled him, nails raking his face. We hit the floor, a tangle of limbs and hate. His hands around my throat, squeezing, black spots dancing. You should have stayed dead, he gasped.
Dead.
The word unlocked it. The fall. The betrayal. Lila's whisper. But she didn't push me. He'd made her watch. Rage surged. And I kneed him hard. Rolling free. Gasping. I pinned him with my knee on his chest.
Confess. Now.
Lila hovered.
Torn.
Emery,
He
he said it'd ruin us all. Us. I spat blood, tasting copper. There is no us. Marcus bucked, but weakened. Fine. Theo's crash. The money, it was survival. Dad would have lost everything. Not everything. Sirens wailed distant. Lila knelt, tears streaming.
I'm sorry.
For the roof. He made me. Twist of the knife. But expected. Why? Power. He promised partnership.
But you.
You were always the favorite. Favorite. Grandma's shadow. Long and forgiving. I released him as cops burst in. Hargrove's doing. I'd texted him en route. Chaos. Cuffs. Statements. The works. As they hauled Marcus away, spitting curses, Lila reached for me. Don't, I said, voice breaking. The letters end here. Hargrove arrived at the station. Envelope in hand, the 5th. Unsealed now. Ruth anticipated this, he murmured, handing it over. Grandma's words. Emery, if you've made it, you're the heir I raised. Forgive if you can, destroy if you must. The trust is yours, condos,
Cash.
clean slate. But remember, vengeance is a mirror. Shatter it wisely. I read it under fluorescent buzz. Tears blurring ink. Clean slate. No more falls. No more whispers. Marcus would rot in Rikers for fraud, maybe manslaughter.
Tay.
Sober or not. Face charges. Lila, walking free, but exiled from our world. Weeks blurred, board takeover. Headlines screaming Caldwell empire shakeup. I sold off the toxic assets, funneled proceeds to a foundation, Dad's memory. Accident victims. Controversial? Hell yes. Protests outside my new office. Emery Caldwell. Ruthless heiress or family avenger? Pundits debated my vindictive purge, but subscribers poured in. My PR firm reborn on truth's edge. One night. Rooftop, not that one. But Grandma's old penthouse. I stood alone. City lights a constellation of second chances. Wind tugged my coat. But I didn't falter. The fall was behind me, the climb. Just beginning. Grandma's voice echoed. Shatter wisely. I did. And damn if it didn't feel like flying. The foundation launch party was a powder keg disguised as a gala. Crystal flutes clinking under chandeliers at the Waldorf. New York's elite swirling like sharks in tuxes and gowns. I'd chosen black, silk sheath. No frills to match the mood. Emery Caldwell. The whispers went. The girl who torched her own family. Controversial? Understatement. Marcus's lawyers had leaked the recordings, spinning me as the manipulator. The vindictive witch who'd baited confessions for sport. Tabloids ate it up. Heiress's revenge. Blood money or justice? I sipped champagne, scanning the room for threats. Hargrove hovered nearby, ever the sentinel. You sure about this speech? He murmured,
Adjusting his bow tie.
Never sure. The MC called my name, and I mounted the stage. Spotlight hot on my skin. Faces blurred, investors, activists, a smattering of cousins who'd scattered like roaches. Ladies and gentlemen, I began, voice steady. Tonight isn't about me. It's about the wrecks we leave behind. My father's death, ruled an accident, was murder. My family's empire, built on secrets, crumbled under lies. Grandma Ruth gave me 5 letters, not to destroy, but to rebuild. Murmurs rippled. I held up the empty envelope prop. One exposed an affair that poisoned trust. Another, a theft that starved dreams. The third, a betrayal from blood. Fourth, greed's ugly face. And the fifth, pause for effect. Redemption. I've sold the condos, donated proceeds to road safety reforms. No more Caldwells profiting from pain. Applause erupted, mixed with boos from the back. Theo's old cronies, no doubt. A reporter shouted, "What about Lila? You let her walk." I met her gaze across the room. She'd come, uninvited. Dress red as accusation. Lila chose her path. As we all do. Off stage. She approached, eyes glassy. "Emery." "Save it." My tone clipped. "You're not family." She flinched. "I loved you. Once. Love doesn't push friends off roofs." I turned away, but her hand caught my arm. "Marcus is out on bail."
He's not done.
Chills snaked my spine. Bail? Hargrove had assured me, but headlines flashed in my mind. Caldwell's scion posts million. Vows appeal.
Shit.
The vultures regrouped. I slipped out early. Cab to Brooklyn through rain-slicked streets. My apartment, once a cage, now fortified, deadbolts, cameras, the works. Sleep evaded. Dreams replaying the fall, concrete rushing up. Lila's scream cut short. Waking sweat-soaked. I checked my phone. Anonymous text. "You think it's over? Watch your back. Cousin. Marcus." I forwarded it to Hargrove. Then dress for war, jeans, leather jacket. The .38 grandma had stashed to her safe. Permit fresh. Controversial choice? In New York. Packing heat as a heiress screamed vigilante. But after the rooftop, trust in badges waned. Morning brought a summons. Board meeting. Emergency vote on my reckless asset sales. Caldwell Properties teetered. Investors fleeing the scandal. I arrived armed with data, projections showing the foundation's PR boost netting double returns long-term. But Marcus was there. Suit crisp. Flanked by lawyers. Bail had polished him. Eyes gleaming with payback. "Emery," he drawled, "gracing us with your presence? After selling the crown jewels? Saving the kingdom," I countered. Taking my seat at the head, Grandma's old throne. "Your fraud tanked our stock 40%. My moves? Stabilizing. Lawyers droned. Motions flew. Reinstate Marcus as interim CEO.
Halt donations.
Votes split. Tension thick as fog. Then Lila burst in, breathless. "Stop. I have proof." All eyes on her. She dumped a flash drive on the table. Emails. Marcus to me, orders to frame Emery. Tamper with evidence. Even. The roof.
Gasps.
Marcus bolted up. "Lies. She's your accomplice." "Not anymore." Lila's voice cracked. I recorded it all. For insurance. Twist upon twist, her betrayal of him. A lifeline tossed my way? Or ploy? I cued the drive on the projector. Marcus's voice. Cold. "Push her if she fights. Make it look like suicide." Room erupted. Security dragged him out, screaming obscenities. Board voted unanimous. My plan proceeds. Lila lingered after. Deflated. "I owed you that. Why now?"
Guilt. And
Ruth's letter. I kept a copy. She handed me a crumpled sheet, Grandma's words to her. Forgiving yet firm. Leave the poison, child. Or become it. I nodded. Throat tight.
Go.
Start over. She did. Vanishing to some nowhere town. Last I heard. But Marcus? His trial loomed. A media circus. I testified. Voice unwavering. The courtroom a pressure cooker of flashbulbs and jeers. He killed my father, I said under oath. For shares. For control. Cross-exam. MS. Caldwell. Isn't this vengeance? You baited him with those letters. Baited. I leaned forward. I delivered truth. He chose the noose. Jury deliberated 2 days. Guilty. Manslaughter. Fraud. Conspiracy. 20 years. Minimum. Theo flipped for leniency. Spilling more dirt. Offshore accounts. Bribed inspectors. The empire? Mine to reshape. But victory tasted bittersweet. Nights alone. I'd climb to my fire escape. City hum a lullaby of what-ifs. Grandma's mirror. Vengeance is a mirror. I'd shattered his. But cracks lingered in mine. Controversial decisions piled. Firing loyalists tied to the old guard. Anonymous donations to whistleblower funds. Pundits called me America's reckoning queen, half admiring, half scornful. Protests outside, signs reading justice or vendetta. One evening, Hargrove dropped by with files. Ruth left something else. A 6th envelope, hidden in her will's safe. I opened it trembling. Photos, me as a kid. Dad alive. Family unfractured. Note. Emery. The mission wasn't revenge. It was remembering who you are. Build. Don't burn. Tears hit paper. Build. I expanded the foundation. Lobbied for auto safety laws. Dad's legacy. My firm thrived on crisis comms. Clients drawn to the real story. But shadows lingered. A call from an unknown. Caldwell? We know about the gun. Threat or bluff? I traced it, burner phone.
Dead end.
Paranoia peaked. I hired protection. A ex-cop named Reyes. All quiet steel. You stir the pot. MS.
Caldwell.
Enemies come. He was right. Weeks later, at a charity auction in the Hamptons, it escalated. Bidding on a Warhol, ironic. Pop art masking pain. I felt eyes. Turned. A man in the crowd.
Familiar yo.
Marcus's old PI. The one from my first life. He slipped out. I followed. Heels clicking on marble. Alley behind the venue. Salt air sharp. Emery Caldwell. He drawled. Cigarette glow illuminating scars. Boss sends regards. Marcus. From inside, tell him to rot. He chuckled. Not him. Others. The real players. Real players? Heart stuttered. Grandma's empire hid more. Ties to developers who'd crushed neighborhoods for condos. Maybe worse. The letters exposed family. But not the machine. He lunged. Knife flashing. I dodged. Hand in purse. Gun cold against palm. Controversial? Firing in shadows? But Reyes appeared. Tackling him. Struggle. Grunts. Then cuffs backup called. Interrogation revealed. Hired by a syndicate. Old Caldwell partners furious at my disruptions. Not just family. A web of corruption Grandma had navigated. Not conquered. Back home.
I port over her journals har gået skift.
Entries from the 90s. Theo's loans from the mob. Paid off. But strings attach.
Mob?
In modern New York? Laughable. Until names matched. Developers with rap sheets. Politicians in pockets. The mission extended. No more letters. But a ledger. Grandma's code for debts owed. I dove in. Nights blurring into code cracking with a hacker contact. Ethical gray, but necessary. Controversies mounted. Leaks accusing me of extortion via foundation audits. Front page. Heiresses Holy War. Caldwell targets tycoons. One name surfaced. Victor Lang. Chicago real estate mogul. Theo's old lender. Miami letter tied back. Carla's laundering for him. I flew out, unannounced, to his Gold Coast penthouse. Butler stalled. I flashed a badge, fake. Borrowed from Reyes. FBI.
Lang in.
He appeared. Silk robe. Smirk fading at my face. Caldwell. Heard you were trouble. Grandma's trouble. I slid photos across marble. His payments to Marcus. Post-dad. Breaks don't tamper themselves. Bluff, he paled. Ruth knew. Always.
Pause.
Pay up. Foundation gets 10 mil. Or the ledger goes public. Extortion? Legally dicey. Morally? Justice's edge. He wired it by dawn.
Cursing.
One domino. But Lang wasn't alone. Back in New York, Reyes pulled me aside. You're in deep. Walk away. Can't. The fall echoed, betrayals gravity. They took everything once. He nodded. Respect flickering. Then we end it. The endgame, a summit. My calling. I invited the players, Lang. Remaining board holdouts. Even Carla. Post-divorce bitter. Neutral ground. Grandma's old cabin upstate. Adirondacks crisp with fall. One last deal. My invite read. They came. Wary. Cabin creaked under weight of suits and suspicion. I stood by the hearth. Ledger open. Ruth's map ends here. Debts paid. Or all burns.
Lang sneert.
Blackmail. Little girl. Accountability. Reyes outside.
Armed.
I detailed it, mob ties. Cover-ups. Lives ruined for profit. Carla cracked first. Victor made us. Theo too weak. Blame shifted. Knives out. Lang pulled a piece. Chaos. Shots. Reyes bursting in.
Tackling.
I fired once. Warning. Shattering a vase. Enough. Sirens wailed. My tip to feds. Timed, perfect. Raids followed. Arrests. Headlines exploding. Caldwell cartel crumbles. Heiress exposes decades of corruption.
Me?
Splashed as hero villain. Senate hearings. MS.
Caldwell.
Your methods unorthodox. Vigilantism. Survival, I replied. Cameras flashing. When law fails families, someone must. Grandma's mirror shattered fully that night. Fragments glinting truth. No more falls. I'd learned to soar. Winter clamped New York like a vice. Snow muffling the city's roar. But not the echo in my head. The hearings dragged, subpoenas, depositions. My life dissected under Klieg lights. Emery Caldwell. Savior or schemer? The Times hedged. Polls splitting public like a cracked ice rink. Supporters hailed me as the whistleblower queen. Detractors painted me vigilante. One viral tweet calling for my arrest. She played judge, jury, executioner, with Grandma's ghost as alibi. I laughed at that. Alone in the cabin I'd kept, Grandma's retreat. Now mine. Reyes had become fixture. Not just guard coffee runs. Late-night stakeouts turning to talks. "You ever think of quitting?" he asked one blizzard night. Fire crackling. Every day.
Truth.
The weight. Nightmares of Dad's twisted metal. Marcus's chokehold, pressed heavier than headlines. But quitting meant surrender. And death had cured me of that. Spring thawed the ice. But not the threats. Anonymous packages. Dead roses. Photos of me sleeping, PI work.
Lunch remnants.
I up security. Foundation board urging caution. Focus on legacy. Emory, they said. Legacy. I poured into it. Scholarships for auto crash orphans. Lobbying for black box mandates in cars. Wins piled. Bills passed. Lives potentially saved. Dad would have grinned. But Lila resurfaced. Email from a ghost account. Need to talk. Not what you think. Meet at the old playground. Brooklyn neutral. Nostalgic. I went armed. Reyes tailing discreet. She waited on the swings. Thinner. Eyes haunted. No red dress. Jeans. Hoodie. Like the girl who'd shared secrets under these oaks. Emory. Say your piece. Distant. But curiosity nod. I didn't push you. Voice small. Marcus did. I tried to stop, grabbed his arm. That's why the sorry. Flashback hit, mid-air twist. Her face blurred. Possible? Rage warred with pity. Why till now? Testimony. Feds approached. I flip on the rest, the syndicate's outer ring. But I need protection. Protection. The word soured. You had chances. Letters. The loft. I was scared.
Tears.
Of him. Of losing you. Losing me? As if I were the prize. But her intel checked out. Reyes vetted. Goldmine on Lang's partners. Controversial alliance? Teaming with the snake. I nodded.
Deal.
But cross me. Won't. She stood. Hug offered. I stiffened, then relented, brief. Bone-deep ache of what was. Her flips accelerated the unravel. Indictments rolling. A Chicago dawn nabbed. Miami launderers singing. My name everywhere. Invitations flooding. TED Talks. Congressional briefings. I accepted one. Senate Commerce Committee. Testifying on corporate corruption. Suited up. Nerves steel. I faced the panel. MS. Caldwell. The chairwoman probed. Your letters, extra-legal coercion? Grandma's will. I corrected. She exposed what boards hide. I executed. Murmurs. A senator.
Lang donor.
Pressed. Vigilantism erodes trust. Trust. I leaned in. Like trusting brakes that fail? Or ledgers that lie. I rebuilt it through action. Clips went viral.
My soon bite memde, Caldwell clapback.
Public swung. Merch sold. Emory for Senate, stickers on cabs. Headier still. A call from the White House. Advisory role. Ethics reform. But high came the crash. Summer heat wave. I'm at a fundraiser, environmentalists. Ironic given family sins, when Reyes pulls me aside.
Tail.
Same PI from Hamptons. We shake him. But not before a shot grazed my arm. Blood blooming on silk. Hospital buzz. Assassination attempt on reformer. Media frenzy. Protection detail federal now. Waking groggy. Hargrove at bedside. Ruth would have said, "Told you to duck." I chuckled, wincing. "What's the play?" "Press on." But smarter. Smarter meant shadows, anonymous drops to prosecutors. Foundation as front. Lila embedded. Her street smarts uncovering a final thread, Grandma's own secret. In her journals, buried, 1950s. My father, bootlegger ties. Empire's root. Rotten roots. The Caldwell name, built on prohibition ghosts, laundered through real estate. To uproot fully, expose it all, risk everything. Decision loomed. Controversial apex. Go public. Torch the brand. Start fresh. Or bury it. Preserve the good. Knights wrestled. Reyes listening. "You're not her," he said. Ruth hid to protect. "You expose to heal." Heal. Word like bomb.
Chose trousse.
Press conference. Fall foliage framing the steps of City Hall. Camera's word. Crowd thick, supporters, skeptics, gawkers. Today, I began. Voice carrying. I reveal the Caldwell Foundation. Not just reform, but reckoning. My great-grandfather's crimes funded this. I've traced every dollar. Donated it back. Reparations to communities displaced by our builds. Gasps. Applause. Chaos. Reporters shouted. Suicide mission? Why now? Because secrets kill, I said. Twice for me. Arm bandaged visible. Metaphor made flesh. Fallout. Stock plummet, wait. No stocks left. But donations surged. Partnerships formed. Lila. Redeemed. Co-chaired urban renewal projects.
Theo.
Out on parole. Volunteered at AA meetings. Amends his sermon. Yet doubt lingered. A letter arrived. No stamp. Marcus's scrawl. You won.
Cousin.
But mirrors crack both ways. Enjoy the view from up there. Chilling. Reyes scanned for prints, clean. Prison mail? Or ghost? I burned it. But sleep fractured. Winter again. 1 year post-hearings. Cabin holiday. Reyes invited. First real date. Awkward eggnog toasts. To second chances, he murmured. To not falling. Laughter.
Light.
But dawn brought snow. And a knock. Hargrove.
Grave.
One more thing from Ruth. A real 8mm film. Ancient. We threaded it. Projector humming. Grainy black and white. Young Ruth. 1940s. Dancing in a speakeasy. Then arguing with a man great-grandpa. Gun in hand. Shot fired. Off screen. Her voiceover. Added later. I shot to save. Buried it all. Emery. Don't bury yours. Live it. Tears flowed.
Live.
Not avenge. Spring bloomed. I stepped back, foundation autonomous. Firm delegated. Reyes and I. Road trip west. Chasing sunsets. Lila's wedding invite. To new beginnings. I went. Danced. Forgave, not forgot. The fall. Scar tissue. Stronger. Grandma's mission. Not just letters. But life reclaimed. Controversial path led here. Peace.
Hard one.
Yet in quiet. I wonder, if death resets again, would I change?
Nah.
This Emery? Unbreakable. 2 years post-rooftop. And New York's pulse synced with mine, frenetic. Unforgiving.
Alive.
The foundation? A beast now. Chapters in 10 cities. Billions redirected from grime to growth. Community centers where condos once loomed. Scholarships blooming like weeds through concrete.
Me?
CEO Emeritus. Advisory whispers. But free. Weekends hiking the Palisades with Reyes. His ring heavy on my finger. Wedding whispers in the wind. Controversy? Faded scar. Occasionally itched. Marcus's appeals denied. Him a Riker's ghost. Letters ceasing after that last taunt. Theo passed quiet. Liver finally cashed out, leaving a note. Sorry.
Kid.
Fixed what I could. Lila? Thriving. Her nonprofit meshing with mine. Our playground packed reborn professional. Sisters, she joked at a gala. I smiled. Comrades. But peace? Fleeting. A call shattered it. Hargrove. Voice gravel. Emery. Come to the office. Now. Midtown traffic clawed. My mind racing worst cases. He waited. Face ashen. A dossier thick as sin on his desk. Ruth's final secret. Found in her attorney's lockbox, triggered by her marriage notice. Marriage? Reyes and I. Casual talk. No notice filed. But there it was. Scanned copy, my doing?
No.
Grandma's foresight. Posthumous meddling. The file. Letters not 5. But 6. The 6th.
To me?
Dated her deathbed. Darling. If you've built from ashes. Here's the spark. Your mother wasn't who we thought.
Mom.
Died birthing me. Sainted ghost, nurse. Kind eyes in photos. But pages revealed. Alias. Planted by Ruth to hide scandal. Mom. Undercover fed. Infiltrating great-grandpa's bootleg ring. Shot not by him. But in crossfire. Ruth's cover-up. To shield the family from feds. Twist gut-punched. She killed her. Voice whisper.
No.
Hargrove soft. Protected. Mom chose the shot. Saved Ruth. But the lie. Poisoned us all. Poison. The root of betrayals. Marcus's ruthlessness. My fall. I clutched the letter. Mom's script. Emery. If this reaches. Know I loved fierce. And the cycle. Cycle. Trunkson's gift. Death's loop broken? Or just beginning? Reyes met me at the apartment. Concern etching his brow. What now?
Now?
Truth. Controversial finale. Expose it all. Feds involved. Caldwell named dust. Or seal it. Let healing stand. Knights debated. His hand steady. You're the decider. But Ruth chose you for a reason. Reason. Live it.
She'd said.
I chose partial. Donate the archives to the foundation. Anonymized. For history's lesson. Press release. Caldwell legacy. From shadows to light. Headlines mild. Heiress unveils family archive. No bombs. Just ripples. But Marcus heard. Prison visit requested, last. He wrote. I went. Plexiglass between. His face gaunt. Eyes hollow. Cousin. Smirk gone. Saw the news. Mom's ghost finally out. I nodded. Wary. Yours too.
He leaned in.
Truth? I envied you. Always the pure Caldwell. Dad's favorite. Ruth's heir. Envy. The serpent's core. And the roof. Desperation.
Pause. Raw.
Lila lied. I pushed. But after. Nightmares. Your scream.
Scream.
Echoed mine. Why confess? Cycle ends. Parole hearing, tell them what I did.
Awe.
I did. Testimony sealing his fate. Life. No parole. He nodded as guards led him. Thanks, Emery. For the mirror. Mirror. Shattered. Reformed. Wedding came summer. Upstate, cabin transformed. Wildflowers. Friends not family. Lila maid of honor. Reyes vows simple. Through falls and flights. Vows echoed mine. Silent. To build. Honeymoon, Amalfi cliffs. Sea crashing like unresolved waves. But one night, storm raging, dream hit, rooftop, not falling, but standing. Lila beside, not pushing, but pulling up. Marcus below, small. Grandma watching, not approval. Woke gasping, Reyes stirring. Again,
Yeah. Smile.
but this time, I flew. Back home. Life layered. Foundation galas. Reyes precinct fundraisers. A dog mutt named Ruth. Yipping chaos. Controversies? Occasional. Ex-board suit. Dismissed. Tabloid heiress's hidden gun? Quelled by PR. One anniversary. Reyes gifted a rooftop garden our building. Safe heights. Picnic under stars. City hours. To missions he toasted. To letters unfinished. I pulled the 6 from my purse. Reading aloud. Mom's words. Wind carrying. Legacy? Not empire. But echoes. Kids in centers reciting safety oaths. Headlines fading to footnotes. Death's reset? Gift. Not curse. Betrayals sting? Blunted by time. Yet in quiet, I ponder, if by kitsch loops again, could I return? Hell yes. For this, love reclaimed, truths unearthed, a life not fallen, but risen. Grandma's will, not just 5 letters, but a lifetime's map. I followed, detours and all. And damn, what a ride.